Batenloni litong session a topic like media ethics and regulations aputhaksi non session abanki litong de ponto lasi apor panaho hipin ten labang so session nituma.
Many of us might be feeling drowsy as well, but I can understand even if you doze off, because after lunch we feel very heavy. But I hope that you'll at least try to listen to some of the points that we are going to speak right now. Is there anyone here who can't understand Karbi? You want to understand even a little bit? Little bit, okay. I will have a blend of both Karbi and English, okay? The topic that I'm given here today is about ethics in journalism. So it's one of the most important topic, especially in this digital age. And in a world where news pass from one corner of the world to another corner of the world in a few seconds. So, and we as writers, as reporters, as journalists, as media persons, we have a huge responsibility to pass this message from one corner to another corner in a very responsible and very accurate way and in a fair way, so that we don't harm anybody, we don't harm ourselves, we don't harm our society, while we deliver our messages to the world. So what is this ethics then? So ethics ethics is nothing, it's very simple. It's a set of values or guidelines that we must follow in our day-to-day life as we go through our daily activities, so that we could do everything, or we could deliver our messages in a proper, in a right way, so that we don't follow unethical or wrong methods. So, as students, I can see many students, so I'll take one example. An ethical person, an ethical student will never resort to copying from others' notes during exams. That is also an ethical student. And then if a student or a youth has more than one boyfriend or girlfriend, we don't say that that person is ethical, okay? We don't cheat on ourselves or on other people. So, ethics is so important. Ano ka dorkar di? Ito methang personal life long shot agadi, methang profession. When we do business with our friends, with our acquaintances, we must follow ethics. There are certain ethics that we must follow when we go through our day-to-day business activities. And in the same way, in journalism, and it's a digital age, so students and everyone use Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp, and other different digital platforms. So when we report on something, when we write on something, when we deliver something, maybe it could be personal, maybe it could be about any news on any sphere of life in our day-to-day activities, we must be ethical. Ethical means we must follow certain guidelines that we do not harm through our reporting, through our writing, through our videos and graphics and all. And there are certain guidelines or ethics that we must remember when we write or when we deliver messages. Number one is we must maintain accuracy or credibility. Accuracy is that the correct information that we deliver to our audience. So the messages that we deliver, it should be always truthful. We must never divert ourselves away from the truth. Number one, how do we maintain this accuracy then? How do we maintain this accuracy? Number one is double check names of persons, double check names of places that you write in your report or news, and then double check the statistics. These are the three things. Double check names of places, and double check the statistics. For example, some of the Karbi names are very similar. If somebody tells you about a news, about an accident maybe, okay, then if your source is the person who tells you the news that something has happened somewhere else. So through the phone, maybe you might have heard Donkey Bay has met with an accident, and then you must be feeling drowsy, like the way you feel drowsy right now, maybe after lunch. You might be feeling very drowsy at that moment, and then you must be feeling lazy. So out of laziness, you might correct name of man. So instead of Longki Bay, you heard Longbi Bay. Na? So when you don't listen carefully, that one error is already there in your report. And then places, names of places also. Your source must have told you that that person is from Tarabasa. I'm from Tarabasa, so I'm taking that example. That person, your source must have told you that it's Tarabasa. But there's another place, Therebasa. Therebasa is a bit far from Dopoka. Some of you might know the place. So this little difference, if we don't listen to our source carefully, if we don't recheck the facts and all, will make a big, huge difference. There will be a huge distortion. Correct news support ke ladak se accuracy bang ke chop nang chop PPL ni lo. La se kai ta itu kacire bang do nai di munit amen longki bu bang ma longbi bu bang ma di therabasa bu bang ma tarabasa bu bang ma la ben ke statistics okay kai ta accurate nang ji di non present student suicide rates is very high in India. Among all the mortality rates, student suicide rates is very high. So suppose if you're writing a report, if you're writing a news on suicide rates in India, maybe out of depression, out of peer pressure, the statistics that you write, it should be very accurate. If you write 10 out of 100 dies every day in India, but the correct information, correct statistic is 20. You already made a mistake there. It's a big, huge difference, 10 and 20. No? So we should make sure about the statistics. And when you gather these statistics, names of places or information from the sources, your sources must be very, very, very reliable. Don't just listen to any Tom, Dick and Harry. Your sources must be very reliable. He or she should be a very trustworthy organization or person. Number one, how do we get these reliable sources? Through reliable official documents. Nang methang report along asap thank official documents proof of bank then your report will be very accurate, very credible. Number two, for a reliable source, you should gather experts from a particular field. For example, we just talked about student suicide rates. So if you want more accurate statistics, we must go to experts in maybe crime field, maybe the crime bureau in India. We can collect information from them. Maybe we could visit police stations. Reporters and journalists these days, since we find it hard to visit a few places of reliable sources of information, we sometimes avoid this going to police station maybe because police avoid that. We somehow avoid. But penang information FIR first let's not be lazy in gathering information from these places. And then number 3, reputable organizations. We just talk about suicides again. Let's take that example again. When you want to gather more information, in-depth study, in-depth information on a particular topic, visiting reputable organization is also another method. Reputable organization in the sense, human trafficking is an in thing in Karbi Anglong right now. We see many missing persons each day in the news. So reports of the Karbi Anglong, the rate is rising very much. So where do these missing children go? Some are being trafficked. We are so near to Dimapur and Kolkata. And Guwahati, Dimapur lekele tangno te thedin theman body a network the umatilatum. So they somehow go missing. So if you want to report on human trafficking, we must always visit organizations, the reliable organizations that do research or on human trafficking, on human rights activists, organizations that deal with human rights activists, and student organizations like KSA in Karbi Anglong particularly. And then when we write report to maintain more accuracy, another thing is that we must seek multiple perspectives. Your source should not be one, your source should not be 2 or 3, but from different corners. From KSA, from police, and then from the local public, from the students. The perspectives should be very different. It's not only for journalists, for students as well. When you write for your paper presentation, find different sources. That way, your paper will have an in-depth presentation. So these are the points to maintain accuracy in our writing or reporting. And then secondly, an ethical writer or an ethical reporter or journalist will always be fair, will always be unbiased, will always be unprejudiced in their writing and presentation of news. So how do we maintain this fairness? Fairness means being neutral. In simple word, being neutral is how we maintain fairness. You don't support party A, you don't support party B. You stand in the middle as a writer and as a reporter. Leaning away, la support because that's how we maintain our credibility as a journalist, as a reporter, and as a writer, and as a student writer. And then we must always remember that to maintain fairness, we must question the motives of our sources. Sources, it could be sometimes, it could come in the form of a friend, a close student friend maybe, a close uncle and auntie maybe, whom we trust very much, maybe since our childhood. Pinana porke ituma source, itum birtana ke thana bange, itum tebohet apunta the, itum closest friend, best friend the. Lasi pinana porke itum alam arjudat me mediti kalimade lana ke thana lam ahok de. But personal life and professional life is totally different. We should not mix up personal life and professional life. Your source could be your uncle, your very close friend, but always question, always be alert. What's my source motive behind the information? Has he got another agenda? Kupini agenda do pokoma la so news published happen but indirectly na Mate is his motive very clearly. Hal pang itong kay ka lo do nanji kita agud kay kita. Lapen ke labang ke abisi ke reporters, lapen ke journalists, lapen ke writers at Tumapamlo make certain, in order to maintain fairness, make certain that your headlines, the headlines is the top title, and then your photos, your videos, your graphics, and then your sound bites. Sound bites ke la audio hedi, sab interview ke and good sound bites kulo, and the quotations you do not misinterpret. That way you maintain fairness and unprejudiced manner of writing. And then it's an age of digital explosion. So la Photoshop la pen ke artificial intelligence de mane youth tumangong ke non ke kachihung nai lo la si penangana por ke penangana photos de sometimes we tend to distort videos and photos using artificial intelligence, Photoshops and all. But as a writer, as a journalist, as a reporter, as a media person, it's very unethical because you are diverting yourself away from the truth, from accuracy and fair reporting and fair news writing, right? So we must never distort the news that we get. It can be in the form of videos, photos, or graphics. And then as a writer, as a journalist, we must be very broad-minded. Everybody has their own personal beliefs, maybe in politics, maybe religion, maybe cultural values. But we must always be broad-minded. That way your writing will not be crammed with prejudice or unfair means of thoughts while you write. And then another thing is that to maintain fairness in your writing, we must always be able to distinguish between advocacy and news reporting. Advocacy is supporting a certain idea and then advertising or campaigning for it. That's called advocacy reporting. But news reporting is another thing. La bandung kai tahadi adima honjeng asonchoti advocacy pen news reporting ke asam fact there's only a thin line between advocacy and news reporting. So we must always remember to distinguish between advocacy, and advocacy means campaigning for a certain ideas. It could be it's very common now in cities and all. LGBTQ, the marriage between the same sex and all. So if you write on that, it's your personal opinion. You must be supporting LGBTQ. So that would be advocacy writing. But news reporting is different from advocacy writing. So we must never mix that up when we write. For example, again, environmental writings and all, that will fall under advocacy writing. So it wouldn't come under news reporting. Let's say lahai tung kadu kabe kaike same kachiri dunai ni non tok bonke whether I am advocating for something or whether it's the news. Okay? And then number 3, an ethical journalist or an ethical writer, an ethical reporter will be always honest with himself or herself. Number 1, an honest journalist or reporter or writer will stay away from plagiarism. Plagiarism, you know plagiarism, it's the most common thing now. That it's my work. Bang account, bang claim bang videos ke entang, photos ke entang, ke top tang alam po, amitang po wrong, and publishing it or telling others that it's his work. That's called plagiarism. We must stay away from all this as an ethical writer or as an ethical person. And the number 4, an ethical writer, journalist or reporter will maintain minimal harm to himself, herself, or the society, or the media house as a whole. Amithang colleagues tumaphan, lapen amithang aphan, amithang purial aphan as a society. Unang ke kapathi ragre daji phansi gamplan ji di kapathira kulute the away the olo di nangi claim ke chok chepen maybe mo pen tu mache thanson plagiarism latalo plagiarism ke claim tanglo kulute komatne ke information pi tanglo kulute lahai da di reports pi tanglo kulute copyright law sai do ko pot ili tum lahai da jail da nang ko ke group to ko ta thekli as ethical person ke mo ositame never copy or take away the works, the pictures, the videos of somebody else and make it as your own. That's very unethical. So we must always be alert about this plagiarism. Then stereotyping. Stereotyping is another point which we should remember. Stereotyping means branding. Branding a race, a religion, ethnicity, a geographical area, or physical disability or social status as something and distorting that particular place, person, or race. For example, in the writer bang, amit hang a paper along the research paper along. One research scholar wrote that the Karbis are people who live on tops of trees. So that's not how we stay in proper houses. We have our own houses. We have our particular way of building our houses. We have our architecture. But those who go through that person's research paper have the notion that that's the truth. Our image has been already distorted by that writer because he stereotypes us as monkeys, similar to monkeys. There's the writer, I won't say his name, but there's that. So we must, as students, when you do a report on something, when you present your paper, please remember to not stereotype a race, a person, a geographical area as something which is not the truth. And then another example is that I think the media has played a big role in stereotyping the Pakistanis and the Indians. That's how we became like enemies maybe. Itung like cricket, if the Pakistanis win, we somehow get so angry. Actually, they are not our enemies. They are normal people like us. But somehow the media has played a big role in stereotyping the Pakistanis as cruel, mean, bad people. So that's how the media play a big role in creating a stereotype scenario. So we must always remember not to create this kind of stereotype images in the minds of the public. An ethical writer, journalist will never do that. When you write something, when you want to present something, let's not distort something as the truth. And then, as a journalist, as a writer, as a media person in modern age, we come across many types of news, especially tragic cases, rape cases, maybe accidents, homicides, murders, suicides. We come across these different scenarios in our everyday life. So when we report, especially on cases dealing with children, we somehow become indifferent to their sensitivity. Somehow the media has desensitized us in one or the other way. Sympathy. When you report, when you write on cases dealing with children, we must always remember to deal with them with compassion. The words that come out of your mouth must be always gentle. They are already facing a traumatic experience. So if we ask questions harshly, when they are under grief, when they are under sorrow, that would be so inhuman. So as a writer, as a journalist, as a simple human being, let's remember to first understand the victims when we write on something about them. And then we must always remember that are the victims or the subjects whom we are going to interview, whom we are going to ask questions are little children who are inexperienced. Sometimes it might not be little children. Adults camera face pepin la menedi interviewers atum latu making no dam depin na si ke om ji maximum atum di hoderlo ama media persons atum to dam bu la porsi ke om di they are very inexperienced apen kaphere pen potsi penana porke instead of answering the questions in a proper way chiru wrong di mate nervous that go properly kethan donai di ta innate wrong da do di anke la Facebook long den comments on thik long lo kupilo lage connect ko som sike hai lo di therapy dum do la sona condition asu point bo de ro api so je pachi lo ko som sike connect lo but different people react to different situations in a different way. When you are too nervous, some people laugh, some people cry. Some people become hysterical. Itu reaction na anutin sikit right. Let's say hala na itu kai ta mathada manji. Be compassionate while we gather news, especially with children, women, disabled people, and then aged people. Lahai na itu